Many forms of technology today are simply compilations of knowledge that don't require electricity. The backpack is one such technology. I'm going to analyze it through the perspective of Thomas Hughes and his theory of technological momentum, as well as through the perspective of Bruno Latour and his perspective of sui generis. Technological momentum basically combines the concepts of technological determinism and social constructionism and adds the concept of time. Hughes believes society controls the technology until the technology comes to control the society by being subconsciously prevalent and necessary. The concept of sui generis explains socio-technical change as a collective thing, not a hybrid of the two models. Latour believes there is an interconnection between technology, in this case the backpack, and society, pointing out they are interconnected and interdependent. In order to further explain these developing concepts, I have to explain the history behind the backpack. Ross Gilmore explains in Woodtrekker that humans have been carrying things on their back since forever, possibly since 3300 BC. But if we mainly examine the bag's history from the 1800s forward, we end up with a timeline kind of like this. In the 1800s, the first bag was a bag with a frame, actually called sigmenmius, which literally means bag with a frame. It was basically a wood-framed rucksack, and hunters were using it to carry their tools and their food from one place to another and didn't need the help of their mates. In 1886, Colonel Merriam invented the first patented framed backpack. It was basically a modified military knapsack, and it was the first clear attempt to transfer weight from the shoulders to the hips. It was cumbersome, though, and did not see very widespread use. In 1909, the Norwegian Ole Bergans introduced the metal frame that actually shaped to the body, and it had a curved waist piece to transfer some of the weight. This is the point in modern backpacks history that is no longer looking to improve the given technology in a symptomatic dimension, and instead showed a paradigmatic approach. In 1922, Lloyd Nelson invented the Trapper Nelson backpack. It was very independent of the Norwegian ideas, and it was modeled after Native American designs. It closely resembled the Utsi pack from 3300 BC. The pack was attached and could be removed from the frame. There was no waist piece, and it was relatively commercially successful. In 1952, the Kelty design came about. Basically, it was an external aluminum frame, and there was a hip belt for weight transfer. Today, backpacks have been modeled after this Kelty design. There have been continual modifications between a padded hip belt and a quick-release hip belt and even an internal frame. Many social groups are independently modifying the backpack for their own needs and have used this to ascribe different meaning to the backpack. For example, the backpack has proved useful in carrying one's life on their back. Many groups, such as exploration and search and rescue groups, are still using the backpack today. Like search and rescue groups, the military has to have all of their necessary supplies ready at their fingertips. Without the relatively modern waist piece, there was little weight transfer from the hips, and historically, many items were very cumbersome. Thus, many relied on their knowledge and carried only what they needed. The backpack, in a school setting, has evolved in a very similar manner. Historically, many children used a leather strap, much like a belt, to carry their few small books to and from school. As time has gone on, though, school days have gotten longer, and there are more and more books to support more and more subjects that children are required to learn. Today, children carry backpacks to and from school with special pockets for their books and for their pencils. This problem is often solved, as Latour explains, that there are social uses of this backpack. The modifications that are used to solve this problem are in a variety of fashions. Today, there are special modified backpacks for each one of these social groups. When the backpack is looked at from a socio-technical point of view, we can learn from both Hughes and Latour. Hughes says, a technological system can be both cause and effect. It can shape and be shaped by society. I agree with Hughes here. However, unlike Hughes, I believe the interaction is continuously interdependent. When Johnson and Wetmore introduced Latour's essay, they said, "Artifacts can be deliberately designed to both replace human action and constrain and shape the actions of other humans." In the case of the backpack, humans no longer had to use their personal knowledge or carry a few individual items in their hands. The backpack made it possible for them to carry items and still have their hands free. Our society is so fast-paced that we insist on doing everything at once. The mentality of, "I'm going to take in all these groceries at once or die trying," is extremely prevalent. Though technology can be helpful in these situations, it can also be a problem. Historically, the backpack has been rather cumbersome, and the users of the backpack can only carry a few cumbersome items with it, until the introduction of the waist belt. When the waist belt was introduced, many items themselves were getting lighter and less cumbersome, while the amount of them increased. Society has surpassed the luxury of the 90% weight transfer the waist belts provided and started to develop a variety of back problems. Then, of course, there's always the annoying problem of the many lost and broken smaller items in the luxurious black hole that we call a backpack. The solution to this was to put a bag on wheels. With the ability to roll the backpack over multiple surfaces between home and, let's say, school, the backpack was even easier to handle. We are very attached to the idea of utilizing such an easy-to-carry bag for our multifarious plethora of items. We added wheels to it. Humans are forever trying to fix their problems and ease their struggles. Fixing one problem inevitably leads to another. Latour explains, "It is not that society and social relations invade the certainty of science or the efficiency of machines. It is that society itself is to be rethought from top to bottom once we add to it the facts and artifacts that make up large sections of our social ties. Machines and science do not stand on their own, but neither does society. They depend on and influence each other." Will the overwhelming presence of the backpack disappear in the electronic era? Will the multitude of changing human and non-human technologies, who knows what's going to happen in the future? Thank you.